Welcome to the Emo Social Club podcast, broadcasting to you live from emosocialclub.tv. I am Brian.
And I'm Lizzie, and we're talking with our friend Joe of Forever Came Calling tonight on the podcast. Finally, we rescheduled, so we're so stoked to have you here.
Thank you for having me. I'm stoked to be here. Real quick off the rip, I feel like it's pertinent. Just want to say 100% pro-choice and pro-trans. My name's Joe Candelaria. Just saying that. Just want to get that going. And then we
turn off the pod now if you are.
If you leave this chat, good. Because you don't support it, good. Get out of here. We don't want you.
On this, the final day of Pride Month, don't be an asshole.
Don't be an asshole.
Truly. You have literally till the end of the night. If you can't do it, that's on you. And you're a bad person.
Yeah, that's all of like tops, 8 hours on the West Coast? Tops 8 hours.
Listen, your entire work shift, okay? Just think of it that way.
I got to go to work and not be a hater. I don't know if I can do it. Devin's like, end of the night. Damn, how long is this interview? It's until you get it right.
Yeah.
Until you stop fucking
It's until we go through all the paranormal lore and Joe becomes a believer. However long that takes is to him.
That is too long. We know that you're doing your 10-year. We were supposed to have you on before you did So What Fest, so we're going to talk about that, and obviously that's a whole thing that we can get into. But now we're just getting prepared for your Contender 10-year anniversary tour. Why don't we talk about that? Let's tell people what's going to happen and why they should be there.
So we our first record, Contender, turns 10 this year. We put it out in, I think, July 24th, 2012. And it's cool. Like FCC, we were like definitely in that whole, like, I guess, third wave of pop punk. I don't even know what wave you'd call it, but that mid 2000s. Hey, puppies, knock it off. We're definitely in that wave, and it's kind of cool because through it, like, we got to really become a full-time touring band. We got to do cool stuff, and then I think, the part that no one ever tells you about is, like, at a certain point you kind of got to figure something else out. So it's cool that we started talking about doing a show at Chain Reaction, and then that turned into a tour. It was a very cool thing, and the more that we kind of dug into it, and I thought about it, it's like, okay, like, there's a lot of really, really cool stuff we could do to celebrate this moment, because we're not really sure. We definitely want to do one more record, but I think the older I get, the more that I'm like, this was a really cool moment that's like special and sacred, even if it's just to me and the people that care. But it's something that I want to make sure that, like, we're celebrating and celebrating it the way that we want to celebrate it. So there'll definitely be some pro wrestling angles, like the artwork's inspired heavily by pro wrestling. We're thinking about doing a Contender World Championship belt. So there's just like all kinds of cool stuff going on.
Is it going to be like whoever is the last person standing in the pit gets the belt of the evening, or like of the entire tour?
So right now what we're doing is the idea is we're going to have a couple of different wrestling matches, and there'll be bracketed tournaments. We're working it out, so like if this doesn't happen, like you never heard that this is going to happen. But,
leave this out.
but the idea, redacted. But the idea is to kind of like I love pro wrestling. I think it's a very important culture builder. I know, like, just being from like a small town in the middle of the desert, it was like really cool to see like people like The Rock being out there and being just like authentically themselves, so it's always something I've really loved and respected. I think it's the Shakespeare of our time. I will say that on record too.
Okay, all right.
So we wanted to build a couple of cool matches. Zicky Dice, who used to sing in a band called Heart to Heart, he's a pretty predominant pro wrestler right now. These dogs are trying to knock it off. No more.
They want a cameo. They're like, hey, it's me.
Yeah. They're trying to hump each other, so.
Oh,
also fair, yeah. Saying get them on the stream, but also, when they're appropriate.
Yeah, that might not. Everyone is canceled.
Everything is canceled.
But yeah, so there's some cool pro wrestling angles. We want to get hopefully work with like Zicky. He's just been crushing at Impact Wrestling. I think he could tell a cool story, and honestly, like, I would love to watch a pro wrestling match and play a show. That's like Joe's ultimate day. Maybe if there's like some like pizza and action figure collecting thrown in there, that would be the perfect day. But pro wrestling and live music is good enough for me.
Now, I've never been a pro wrestling. I shouldn't say I've never been a pro wrestling fan, because like the video games and all that were a lot of fun to play with friends growing up, and like obviously, like, being a bunch of young dudes, it's like there's going to be somebody who's into it. And I was like, no, I'm not really into that. But this Dragon Ball Z thing, like, that gets me. And it's like, oh, it turns out they're the same. They're the same picture. So, but like, it always was that I'd be like really into bands that all of a sudden they'd have a song that was on like a soundtrack or something like that, or they'd be the song that like somebody would walk out to, and I'm like, okay, like there's clearly a very strong musical connection here to pro wrestling, even though it wouldn't like really like strike you off the top. It's just like, yeah, there's music and dudes slapping each other, like just, hand in hand.
Well, I think that like that, I grew up in the Attitude Era. And so I think Attitude Era kind of got lumped in with like that, underground culture, so I think that like wrestling and punk rock were kind of like adjacent. They weren't really in the same spaces, but like there was a lot of like Venn diagram overlap. I think that like we also had a lot of also, if I start going off on a tirade of pro wrestling, stop me, because that is like my favorite shit in the world. But I think that there's like a lot of like, you had a lot of people coming up at that time that were like challenging like Generation X, right? Like they totally leaned in like being metrosexual, like being like, yo, like you don't know, like China is the most beautiful woman ever, in my opinion. And like, like you had her being out there like repping the world, like the Intercontinental Championship, like no woman had ever had that. And this is like the early 2000s, so it's kind of like, especially at the time, very crazy concepts. And I think that like the more that a lot of my friends that are in music still are very into pro wrestling, and I think that what I've realized is like that counterculture is kind of what the overlap is. And so I think like it's cool, especially now if you're into like AEW and stuff, like you have so many great like stories being told from different angles, and like you have, like, I don't know if you're into Joseph Campbell, if you ever read any of his stuff, but he has like Follow Your Bliss, like that's like his whole kind of thing. And he talks about like the hero's journey. Like if you look at the Bible to Star Wars, right, like it's essentially the same like hero concept. I think pro wrestling's just done that with like better dramatics. Like
it could be considered Game of Thrones level type, like,
oh yeah,
this many characters, these are the storylines, everything is just kind of interconnecting. There's always like betrayals. It's like
K-fob, right? Like, so that's the idea that they're supposed to keep up this character regardless. A lot of characters now, like especially with social media, you can't really do that the same way, because like you'll lose your fucking mind. Like you literally will split personalities. So a lot of people don't, but there's still that like culture of K-fob of like you're supposed to believe. Like when they're on TV, you kind of have to believe. But then you have like the McMahons who are just, not great people, and their life is so wild that like you're like, I don't know what's real or fake here, because that dude's clearly like probably paying for sex, like, and that's fine, but you're weird because you're a boss and you shouldn't pay your employees for sex. Like,
correct.
Yes, that is Hundo P correct in every single situation.
Yeah. That always threw me off though, because I'm like, you can't, it's like you own it and you're also like a major player and participator in it. And I'm like, that can't be real. That has to be like the character of the owner, and the real owner is just like some dude who like doesn't give a shit at all, isn't part of it at all, and is like, why would they think that he owns it? It's like, well, he's playing the character of owning it, and this guy's like, let him fun.
Well,
but like that guy's just another
let him do
actor.
That for me, goodbye.
Yeah, but it's like no, he does own it, and it's like, that in itself, why like. It's like if you were Jeff Bezos and you were like, I'm going to shop at Amazon. Like, dude doesn't shop at Amazon. He's just like, no, I just own it. Like, whatever. But he's not like, oh, let me check what's on my site. No, there's no way.
Yeah, no, like that'd be like Jeff Bezos delivering your Amazon package. You'd be like,
You'd be like, sir.
Yeah. And then acting like he's not Jeff Bezos, or acting like he is Jeff Bezos and being like, I'm Jeff Bezos. Here's your package.
And then we don't believe him, and then we're like, wait, is this gaslighting? And then it's like a whole back and forth.
Wait, is this gaslighting?
Wrestling is just professional gaslighting
it really is. It really is. There's a cage involved sometimes, and it's just professional gaslighting. And a bunch of people saying I'm the best in the world.
Like, dude, I'm pretty sure this is like heavily an American thing. like I'm the best at football, and it's like, guys, we don't even play football here. What are you talking about? It's different. It's the game we play with our feet, not our hands. Come on. This is my tight five, guys. I hope it's sounding good on the pod. But you don't even play it with your feet. It's fine.
Don't even play with your feet, man.
So we're here. We'll shift a little bit back from pro wrestling, but maybe to how there's more girl bossing versus gaslighting. You know, the triple G's, girl boss, gatekeep, gaslight, everything. But
and
how
this transition
triple G, the new term,
the triple G, but how you are coming back for 10 years of Contender, going on tour, and what this is going to end up being for you more. I know you mentioned at the top that there's going to be some new music coming, but you're not going to be focusing on that now. You want to kind of expand upon it. But can you tell us what other things to kind of expect from this tour with Friends of the Pod, Pollyanna, Home Safe, Handguns, and Nominee?
So we have Pollyanna's like a great band. They're I hate to say this because I feel like anybody that has a high register voice gets compared to like Paramore, but I feel like the pop sensibility of Paramore is there. There's also they're just smart songwriters. Like that band is incredible as far as just being. I feel like it's very rare that a band can figure out how to be like indie or underground while also just having overt pop sensibilities, and like they nail it. Like they just ride that fine line. There's really cool guitar parts going on. Our old agent Brad Wiseman sent it over when we started talking about the tour. It's like, oh, I'd love if you'd consider them, and I hadn't heard of them before then, and it was just like, yeah, this is a no-brainer. This is so good. So it's really cool to see them. They have Slime EP. It's an EP, correct? Not a. Or is it a full?
I think it's an LP.
Is it an LP?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it's their first debut. That's what it was.
Okay. So it's coming out, or it is out on I Surrender. So that'll be like, that's really cool. They're a young band that's just. I think that's always exciting, especially for me now that I'm a little bit older. Like I'm not old for like the world, but I'm old for like this shit. Like straight, I've become the sister in Knocked Up, just like anybody remembers that. But I think like it's cool for me to see like young bands get to like not tour for the first time, but see different parts of the country and like, you know, like you get to watch them fall in love with the parts that you fell in love with, and I think that's super cool for me. We have Deathlands. They're from LA. They're like just a great like rock band. I think true to like just being like a little bit grungier. Not like grungy, but nice. I like that a lot. I also like that they're like regional to our area. And I don't think they've been to the East Coast yet, but I could be wrong. I'm not sure. I'm excited about that. Home Safe are just like homies. Like those are like, we toured with Ryan back on the Heart Attack tour with Man Overboard and Transit and his other band Knuckle Puck. So he handed us like the first Home Safe demos, and at the time it was just him. So it's cool to watch that band like grow and evolve and turn to like this really like straight up like Foo Fighters badass band. I like that band a lot for that reason. And Ryan can play any instrument, so it's insane. Handguns, those are some like the oldest homies like we've ever had. That band literally like kind of showed us the ropes. They there was this cool network in the like 2010s like that A Loss for Words worked out. Maddie was a big networker. He figured out how to like build this cool underground DIY routing and shared it with Handguns, who shared it with us, and like that's how like all of us got put on, because we just, you know, I remember Jake Langley teaching me like, hey, like, let's just be everywhere all the time. And then we went on tour together for like 12 weeks. And it was just like one of the best. That was our first time through the full US. So it didn't feel right not doing these shows without them. Those are like our oldest friends in all this. So
I get the sense that even as, you know, an artist that's been in the scene for 10 years, like you seem to be staying very close with bands that are coming out now and doing new things and staying influenced by like the new guard, I guess.
Well, I think there was like a lot of like to the Triple G gatekeeping when I came up. There was a lot of like cool guy shit. Like, and I always hated it. It like I remember, like I came up like I was a chubby kid my whole life. So like it was one of those things where it's like that was always part of like this weird gatekeeping thing. And then when I realized that was a part of music, it's something that I just decided like, okay, if I ever get to a place where I can help others, like that's something I don't want there to be this like these weird like social hurdles that people have to get over just to like be seen as like relevant. I feel like that like right like if a band's good or not is so relative to like what the listener hears, you know, like there's, you know, I think that there's a lot of culture, especially in when we came up, that was like very competitive and very, well, if someone's doing something good, then that means I'm doing bad. When in reality, it's like, well, someone could do something good and I could do something good and we could both just do our good thing, right? Like someone eating doesn't take away from you. Like it's just, and yeah, exactly. So I think the younger generation has that fully in their head. So it's very easy for me to embrace because it's like, it's watching like these weird ideas you had in your head be brought to life by people that are just like, nah, fuck it, I'm not going to partake in that. Like, and it's cool. It's inspiring.
It's much more like normal now, I feel, because more people are more open and accepting. Because I know at least now, because pop punk has become much more like diverse, not as diverse as it should be, but much more as of recently. It's opening more gates and there's more inclusivity talk happening. Now again, like there's still a bunch of white dudes in pop punk bands.
Yeah.
Not being great white dudes in pop punk bands. We get it. But I feel like we're on this diverging track where we're finally gonna get this wave of new artists and like just people who are more accepting and open about things now than we probably ever have seen in this scene.
Yeah. And I think that's like super cool, and it comes from like those pushbacks of my dog had to go out, so he's just crying at me.
Absolutely.
Actually, leave this door open for him so they can do what they want. Sorry about that.
Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah, and it's cool to see that, especially with like, you know, I think full on like pop punk has a big problem with like misogyny. I think that like, right, like and I've fully partaken in that when I was younger. I tell people like my whole life I thought I was and I wanted to be a feminist, but until you start actually trying to do that work, you don't realize like how subvert like the patriarchy is and how subvert like those ideas are. And like, you know, there's a lot of like suspect lyrics. There's just a lot of suspect, like, I think that like I'm a political science major, so I've moved into a space that like, you know, things like sex work, like that's just work to me. You know what I mean? That's just like, and I think like when I was younger, I was raised Catholic. So there's like these very like indoctrinated beliefs that like, not that I ever really believed in it, but it's just like all you know, right? So you're just kind of like unlearning and then having to relearn like, you know, how to not be an idiot. It's great.
Lizzie, I feel like you have thoughts on that as a...
Yeah, as a Mexican Catholic, I also understand that. So
I tell people I was like, when they ask what my religion is, I was like raised Catholic. I don't like, it's so in me that like I have to like be very hyper aware, but it's not like my frontal brain at all.
It's like the Catholic guilt that'll come out and like the snap in the moment. You're like, uh-oh, I'm in the danger zone. What do I do?
I'm going to hell? Is hell real?
Like, is this it? Is this what's going to do me in? I got to go to confession right now.
Yeah, yep.
Like we were saying earlier when we were doing like, you know, my brother in Christ, and I said my bestie in Christ, because I like to call Brian bestie and he hates it. But I made this funny meme that's really cursed. So when we were at the Stan Atlantic show, he came up with like the sign of the cross, and then you dab when you say.
Oh,
oh my God.
And when he did it, I kept doing it the regular way. And he's like, no, you have to do it backwards. So you hit that dab. And I'm like, I can't do it. It feels
about
wrong.
the momentum. It's a whole thing.
The whole thing.
It's about momentum. It's about, you get it. It's like dance, you know?
The Pope's gonna contact you and be like, "This guy needs to run PR. Like this is how we get the kids back.
This is how we get the youth back into cops.
This in Fortnite, we're gonna get a downloadable.
That's gonna be a new Fortnite
character. Yeah,
just heard that your kids like dabbing. Would you like to learn to dab for Christ?
No. They're going to recruit Lady Gaga because that's a part of her Bad Romance dance move. So they're going to bring that song back and then incorporate the Bestie in Christ dab on the Fortnite dance field game. I don't know what Fortnite does much, but it's all going to be in there.
Just there's 40 of them. It has nothing to do with Fortnite. It just is the name of it.
No, but Fortnite is a way to the kids.
Fortnite as a creation now, but it means nothing about like the actual like it's 2 weeks, but it's like doesn't mean anything about it. It's just a game called Fortnite, and you're like, I hate it. I hate the internet. I hate all. You
can indoctrinate kids in 2 weeks. I mean, look at the cult mentality.
let's just move along.
You can indoctrinate kids.
Yeah, Lizzie might be getting a little bit too into how do we make this PR for the Catholic Church. It's like, well, the last thing you want to do is say indoctrinate kids. I'll go ahead and put that as the lowest bar on the list.
The asterisk. Things to
things with to Fortnite. Avoid. But I think.
Oh, go ahead. No, you go.
But I think overall in the scene, like, you know, there is a lot of misogyny. And I think there's like a really relevant, like current example I can think of. The artist Scene Queen, she basically makes like old school, like think of like old Hollywood Undead. So it's like really like, back that ass up energy. But she has that, but it's her singing it about like dudes and chicks, whatever. And everyone's like, oh, why is she doing that? And it's like metalcore. And they're like, that's not feminine. You shouldn't be singing about that type of stuff. It's like, okay, but you literally do that.
Yep.
You literally do that. I think that's like so wild because people who are, are like self-proclaimed like feminists. They're like having these hard critiques on women who are trying to be more in control of like sexuality or just sing about it more openly and like provocatively as their male counterparts do. And they're like, not that. I don't want to hear about a G-string.
Yeah.
Not from you, but from someone else who's a guy. Yeah, that's fine.
That is like a weird part of just like, I think that especially in America, like we come from Puritans, right? So like the culture widely is like, well, repress your sexual desires. And it's like, I'm human. So, maybe I don't talk about that if I went to your church, but like, if I'm just living my life, like I'm a human, I get the full experience. Like, and it sucks that women can't really own that space. Not that they can't. It sucks that society has like kind of crux them to like, as soon as they step into that power, it's like, oh, you're like, that's too much. And it's like, why though? Like, why?
We want you to succeed. No, not like that.
We
want you to succeed, but over there,
But in the way that we think is okay, but we can still put you down for it, so we still have control over it. It was like the one girl, there's like Chloe and Haley, I think, and I know that this one girl's supposed to be playing the new Little Mermaid, but everyone was like really sexualizing her like as soon as she turned 18, and she was like, all right, fuck it, if you're going to sexualize me, I'm going to sexualize myself and take control of the situation. Then everyone's like, why is she wearing things like that? That's too revealing. And she's like, you literally did this to yourselves.
Yeah. Well, it's like that, like Billie Eilish, like her whole thing with like immediately being sexualized as soon as like she's not wearing baggy clothes and like she's not even 18. It's just like that is like perverse on levels that like you shouldn't even have to like say, right? Like it should just be like, hey, that's a child. Maybe like, I just let them be a child and figure out their own bodies because it's already hard enough to be a fucking child with a changing body. Like I don't know. Dudes are weird. As a dude.
Yes.
Yes. And for somebody like, so Billie Eilish just makes banger music after song, just so good. and to be like thrown into this world where it's like that's your experience with it. It's just like, dude, like that really bummed me out, because I'm like, oh my god, dude, like she's a kid who makes fun music and is having a great time and is like written some of the best songs we've heard in a long time, and you're like gonna just ruin it for everybody. Like, just shut the fuck up, be normal for like 10 minutes. Like
10 minutes,
fucking be normal.
Yeah, just be normal, be chill, like be chill.
It's very like, I mean, we know parasocial relationships are fucking weird, but certainly this like idea of like dudes that are like, I'm gonna be parasocial and super fucking creepy because it's the internet and these aren't real people. I'm like,
what's parasocial? I don't know that term.
It's the idea that like you watch like a content creator, musician, actor or actress or something, and you start to connect with them and feel like you actually know them. So let's say you watch like an actor in every movie that they're in, and you start to feel like, I know this actor. I know them. I've hung out with them. I watch all their interviews. Like, I just know who this person is. And you clearly have never met this human being. But in the connection that you build in the connection that you build through your interpretation of their content and the way that it creates that feeling within you. Like, so if you ever had like somebody come up to you at a show who's like, you know, Forever Came Calling changed my life and all this, and they feel like they know you, and it's like, I've never met this person before. This is my first time interacting with this person, but they have this entire relationship with you built up in their head that isn't real. Usually, like, it's fine. Everyone kind of does that in some different way with like any form of media, because we don't have a brain that was built in order to watch something and people that we don't know doing things on the internet at any time we want and build like a normal relationship with that. That's just not how humanity was created. So it can be fine. It can be something where you go, okay, being weird need not be weird, or like, I want to like kind of break through that barrier of like, it'd be weird for me, but like, I have had this entire experience with your music that has changed my life and you don't even know about it. And I feel like the next step is like, I want to tell you about it. I do think there's like a healthy way to do that. I think most people don't do it in a healthy way.
Yeah, no, it's very much like a really easy pipeline to be in a parasocial relationship, and then some event or something said just triggers you to go into the stalker pipeline. And more often than not, you do see that happen.
Okay.
Because you become so obsessed with it that, like, for example, there are people who have been in parasocial relationships with like YouTubers who have just stopped creating content for whatever reason. And once there's no other way for you to really connect or talk with them, especially if they're like, I'm going to go off the social media, I'm not posting anymore. So you have like nothing to latch on to. People will like absolutely lose it. Like they're like their best friend just died.
I remember when Jenna Marbles went off the internet, people were like losing it. She left because she was like, this is too much, right?
Somebody tried to cancel her for an old video that she had already addressed and was like, hey, like, I know what I did was shitty. It was a different time in the early 2000s. And like, I've learned, I've done this, this, and this. Let's just move on. And then people just basically started harassing her, trying to dox her and her husband. And she was like, this isn't worth it anymore. Bye. And like, peaced out.
Mm-hmm. Pile on. The internet pile on.
The internet pile on. That's always interesting. That's the like. I don't even have like a. I mean, obviously it serves a purpose sometimes, but it is weird. Like when the Supreme Court like tells women that they don't own their bodies, like you should dox the fuck out of all of them. But like, you know, like when a YouTuber just quits making content, like because they did like. I've been wondering, like I said, like I poli-sci major, right? If someone does something shitty, like there's parameters, right? There's obviously outside of what is okay, like not that any of it's okay, but there's like someone's clearly a racist and like just is like, this is who I am. You don't have to accept that. Like if someone, you know, used the R word when they were in 8th grade and like it was, you know, 2001, like, and they don't do that anymore and they understand why that's not a word that you should use. Do we forgive them or do we hold them to like this weird moment that happened in 8th grade when we all probably have weird moments that happen in 8th grade? Like, right? Like barring, like, I'm not talking about like anything sexual or anything like that, but it's just like words, I think get, and I'm like a big like Black Lives Matter supporter. Like that's where I'm at. Like I understand like words have power. Like they do. There's words that I don't even think about like accepting at all. But if someone understands the error of their ways or why something's wrong, like do we invite them back in? Like what do you do there? And I don't have an answer per se, but I do think it's something that our generation should start thinking about, because I think that if you're calling someone, I don't like to call people out anymore. I like to call them in. Like why? Yeah. Like why do you think that's okay? I don't understand. Mm-hmm. If you could make me understand, but if you can't and you get uncomfortable talking about why it's okay, then like maybe you should revisit that like on your own time. Like, but you know, I'm out here reading the X-Men too much, so.
Well, yeah. And also, how do you like the X-Men and yet also still be racist? I think is really strange. It's like
it's like the entire premise just go.
Yeah, like you can't like. Okay, look, I'm a big Marvel fan, so I'm gonna get into it.
Yes.
Stan Lee being a Jewish American person and writing a lot of these stories based on his experience of family in the Holocaust and moving from Europe to the United States, living in New York, growing up in that environment. And then like people just don't fucking get it. And they're like, Iron Man, big boom from hand. It's like, no, you're like, dude, there's so much more hand.
Boom
from hand. It's like, you're just missing everything because you're like, oh, there's like some action and Wolverine goes snick and everything's over. It's like, you're missing out on like the nuance of Magneto being a survivor of the Holocaust written by a person whose family was survivors of the Holocaust. Like that shit is so deep. And you're just like, oh yeah, like that dude's awesome. Okay.
When people just when people don't get like, I just went to this. It's called the National Convention for Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion, NCORE, and they do like a bunch of panels about like how to be more inclusive, and like I'm thinking about getting into educational administration, so it's for stuff like that. They did a panel on comic books actually, and like how important it is for culture and how it's shifted culture for people our age, especially because exactly the points that you bring up. Like we were smart enough to like, some of us were smart enough to be like, oh, I see, like this is bad. And it was cool to see, like learn things about Stan Lee's happy accident, right? He said the happiest accident that he ever had, and he didn't. And he's very, like, he's such a great dude, was a great dude. He was very clear that it wasn't on purpose because he didn't want to pretend that he had this big plan. But he said he realized it, and that's why I think Black Panther went the way that it went, was Spider-Man was completely covered. Mm-hmm. So anybody could be Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. So he's like, we didn't realize how important it was that Spider-Man has no, like, discernible features besides superhero. But he's like, at that point, anybody could be Spider-Man. Which I don't know if you're how into like Black Panther you are, but do you know the rollout of that comic and like what they like, how they like Rick rolled the comic world in the 70s?
No, I don't know.
Not really Rick rolled, but like that's the loosest term I have. So they built up this, like Black Panther is one of the best characters. He might be the best Marvel character in my opinion, because he challenges things like capitalism and that the West is the center of the universe, which is, I think, important ideas. He was completely covered, came out, like all these nerds are like, yeah, this Black Panther guy's the man. Into the first run, pulls his mask off, he's a black dude. And they're like, God, what just happened? Like, and so you introduced a world of like predominantly white males to like this hero that they looked up to was just a very strong black king. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like African king. And it was like, that's a big culture shift right there. It didn't happen right in that moment, but I think it sparked a lot of ideas that like come later. It's comics are the shit, like all that.
Fucking rule. Like there's like so many levels to it that like, I don't know. I hear a lot of people talk shit about the Marvel movies because it's like, they're just a bunch of like dumb action sequences. And I'm like, no, there's like some good quality stuff, even in the movies, which like are obviously way more easy to consume for the majority of people. And like, I will say all the comics I've read, I'm like, wait, did I miss something in the comics that I need to go back and read? And it's like, yeah, I'm like, I'm just going to read the Wikipedia page.
I think the big thing is with Marvel is that one, it's become so oversaturated that it loses all of its vigor and like meaning at this point. Mm-hmm. and that so many people just watch it as that fun superhero movie. And when you actually like think of it cognitively on a deeper level, then you're like, oh shit, but nobody really wants to think of it as that way. And at least for me, because I'm not a big Marvel fan solely for that reason, and because there's just way too much going on, I don't have time to watch all those movies.
We have time, Lizzie.
No,
we'll sit down. We'll get it started. Starting from Iron
no.
Man. Would you rather watch it in chronological order by release, chronological order by the movie, like when the movie takes place, or my preferred way, chronological order by scene?
What?
Because then you have to, Oh, look.
What?
I'm about to blow your mind. There is a person who went through all of the movies through Endgame and took scene by scene when they happen. So, like, if there's a flashback in the movie, that part comes first. Like, all the Thor movies have these, like...
YouTube compilation?
Okay, wait, what? I need this version. I need this version.
You have no idea, like, how much more sense the Marvel Cinematic Universe is if you watch it in cinematic order by scene... And like see like where it all fits in of like timeline order of the entire storyline. And you're like, whoa, okay, this is some heady shit and it fucking works and it's awesome. But I will say, don't have that conversation outside of your podcast with people who are like-minded, because they're like, you sound real stupid, right? You sound like aggressively nerdy.
You sound like, you sound a little bit too into it. Like, I mean, I know people who are dead ass like they take the persona like I am Captain Marvel, and I'm like, you can get away from me now, thank you.
We're gonna go back to parasocial relationships. You got some weird friends, Lizzie. You gotta get the normal friends.
I didn't say they were that close friends. All right, they're there.
Oh,
hey, listen to the pod, I'm letting them know.
Weird people make the world go round, though, right?
Yeah, to an extent.
Within relative limits.
Yeah, I mean that would be like. Granted, I'd be more concerned because I'm a big Watchmen person. Like that's my like graphic novel. I collect all the different covers. I collect all the different variants. I have like a big artifact edition of it behind me. Like that's my shit, because I like how like it makes you really think the entire time, like, who's the good guy? And it's like, plot twist, there's no good guy. We are all terrible people.
We are all bad.
But like there's so many different angles that it's cool. So if somebody like rolled up and like, I'm Rorschach, I'd be like, uh-oh.
Red flag.
That went really over someone's head there.
Yeah.
And it often does.
Lizzie, I should have shown you this video the other night because I know how much you hate edgelords in comics, and we all know that Batman is just a dude who decided to
comics. I like comics. I have a lot of graphic novels. I think one that like stands out that really scares me that I can't read that often, I think it's called Breathers. I have it over here.
Breathers.
Oh yeah, it's called Breathers. So it's basically like these people, you're in like a dystopian-esque world where all the air pollution like is terrible and it sucks. LOL EPA, just absolutely getting wrecked today. Where people
EPA
have to buy
today for sure.
Yeah. So it's like people have to buy canisters of air to go outside, and if you can't afford it, then you like die. And then they come to find out later, they're like, LOL, the government was scamming us. And I read that and I was like, uh-oh, this is too relatable right now. I gotta put this down. Like, it's a really good graphic novel, like art-wise and like story-wise, but I was like...
It's the nonfiction part of it that's scary.
And I think that was from like the early 2000s too.
It is. That's terrifying because capitalism will ask for that. Like it'll like water is being traded on like Wall Street, I believe. Like that should be one of the most terrifying things anyone's ever heard. Like, we all die without water. Like you know, like your bank account should not determine if you get water. Like
this is not about your music, and it could be. Here's the thing. I love where this conversation is going, and I'm just like, yep.
Now here's the thing. Will your new pizza business be the lifeblood that we all know to be, and can we liquefy it into water?
I would love that. Buy pizza, get water. Ultimate diet pizza.
You got to tell us about your pizza. Like, we're from Chicago. Pizza's a thing. You know, it's important. Okay. It's how we survive. It's
it's our lifeblood.
It's our marinara in my veins.
Not sunset in your veins, like Fall Out Boy said. Marinara in my veins.
They're from Chicago,
sunset in my veins. Well, that's a great song.
I know.
So during the quarantine, I just got bored as fuck, and I was like, you know what? I bet I can figure out how to make pizza dough. And then, like, anytime like we were touring, I'd always like want to try pizza. Like, pizza's my thing. So, like, Chicago deep dish is great pizza. There's like true Chicago style, which is like square cut and not deep dish. Like, that shit rocks. I can't.
That's our general preferred.
That is the best. You have to go to like the south side too to get like the good tavern style. That rocked my world. My family from Tinley Park is the ones that actually showed us it. Like, so it's just cool. Like, you go everywhere, and pizza's like a little bit different. Like, I do think that like there's like Chicago and New York are beefing. Like, I'm one of those people that's like, I respect both. I just love good pizza. Like, my favorite style of pizza is St. Louis style, which I don't know if you ever had that, but what is that?
I think Jets.
No, that's Detroit.
No, that's Detroit.
What is St. Louis
Roots
style?
is Quad City style.
It's emos. It's called emos, and what it is they like. For the story I was told is they had a real big, large like Italian population in the early 1900s, and they couldn't make provolone cheese for some reason locally. I don't really know why, but they could get close mixing it with American, so they made this cheese called Provel. It's a cross between provolone and American, and they top the pizza with that. It's on a thin, like, cracker crust. It's cut up like Chicago style, square cut. Anytime you're in St. Louis, recommend it. IMOS, emos. Like, it's a good spot. But to my pizza, so yeah, all this pizza knowledge. I just decided to get into like, okay, let me try. Watched a ton of YouTube and finally got a crust that I liked. They started showing my friends, having them over. They're like, yo, you should try to sell this to people. And then I was like, all right. So I got my street vendor's license, and my favorite comic book's probably Ninja Turtles. So call it Cowabunga Pizza. And each pizza is named after the brothers or a character on the show. Like, in my perfect world, I would just, if you came up to get pizza, I'd be like, who's your favorite Ninja Turtle? Like, who would you guys each answer?
I think I'm going to go Donatello.
So you'd get a pineapple pepperoni, like you're kind of smart and sophisticated, but like, it's not for everyone.
I use a bow staff because I don't want to hurt nobody. I just want to let them know that they've been hit.
Wow.
Like, okay, all I'm saying is every other Ninja Turtle uses a fucking blade. And then Michelangelo
that's big
is
pineapple on pizza energy right there, bestie.
Dude, I want someone to know. I don't want someone to be that badly hurt as my turtle character.
Tonight, go on a Reddit dive of why the Ninja Turtles have the weapons they have. There's like a whole fan theory that Splinter picked. So Donatello's a gadget guy, right? Mm-hmm. Your weapon's a fucking stick, man. Figure it out. Like, he doesn't get anything fancy. He just gets... Yeah. All their weapons are supposedly to bring out like the worst parts of their personality, so they have to work on them. Donatello's always relying on other stuff to get him out of situations. He gets a stick. His brothers all have knives and blades. I'm a nerd. I am a through and through nerd.
No, I'm loving this. This is like the kind of shit where I'm just like, dude, let's get into it. Let's get into the Ninja Turtles. I know you've got all this stuff we're trying to promote, but damn, have you thought about Ninja Turtles recently?
It's super heady on the turtles. But yeah, so it's been cool. It's we do like a Neapolitan style. Like, it's like, I'm always trying to take on New York. I'll never get there, right? But like, I just aim for that every day. Has a nice I have a good crack, I have a good undercarriage, and it's soft in the middle. So like, I'm super proud of the dough. We do like all kinds of crazy stuff. We like the Michelangelo pizzas, mac and cheese, like on a garlic cheese bread pizza.
That sounds so good.
The Last Ronin, which if you're into the comic at all, like The Last Ronin is a comic line you should 100% check out. It's about the death of the Ninja Turtles. Wild. But that's like a garlic cheese bread with some pistachios and some hot honey on it. Like, there's like all kinds of like... me and my friend Carrie do it together, and she's like the best bartender in the world. We do it at her bar, so it's cool. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And you're bringing that to every stop on the tour?
Yeah, I'm gonna bring my oven with me. So I'm gonna do like certain nights. So I need 3 days for my dough. Mm-hmm. So places that I can like Like I know we have time off in Nashville. I think we have a little bit of time around Chicago, or time where I can like get it prepped for me, because I have like these weird like yeast measurements and stuff that I'm like, all right, 8 hours in, 12 hours out, 8 hours in. It's all weird, but like I sometimes try to use my ADHD for good.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so I'm gonna bring the oven with me and then do pop-ups wherever I can. That'll probably just be like free. Like I just want to like be like, yo, what do you think of this pizza?
You're my test subject.
I need the feedback.
Yeah.
Do the feedback.
Were you like posting about like how you were trying to figure out the logistics of bringing an entire oven on a tour?
Yes, 100%. I like 100%. I owned like. I had like 2 full like put through, like my first job was at Papa John's, so like I knew like that's where I first started learning how to make pizza, and they have like rotating ovens, right? So you just set it down, walk away. I have to like hand cook mine. I have 2 ovens that are rotating ovens, and I was like, I could put those on a trailer, like get a generator in there. And then I was like, maybe I should just play these fucking songs and not suck at that.
Maybe I should play these fucking songs.
Like every band now has to have.
Show? I don't know. Like
No. I don't think so. I think it's like people are gonna talk about the band that brought a pizza oven and made pizza. Like the singer of the headlining band made his own pizza, brought it on tour with him with ovens in the back of a trailer. Like that sounds fucking
and
awesome.
gave it for free and
Yeah.
said, I just want feedback. Just tell me if it sucks or nah.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys are selling me on this idea. There we go.
Yeah. No, you got to make it happen.
Yeah.
All right, I'll figure this out. I'll figure this out.
You'll have to
be
come
there,
up to Chicago, be like, this is better than Chicago style, then everyone will try it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that in anyone's city.
Oh no, because it's gonna make people be, oh really? And they're gonna eat it. Then they're gonna give you actual legitimate feedback.
Yeah.
Fucking sucks. You should quit. I just undoes all the therapy I've done.
That one night in Chicago.
Hey guys,
One night in Chicago will change it all.
just get ripped up. I get doxxed for that.
This guy says his pizza's better than ours.
Get him. Get him.
It's like, as soon as you talk shit, though, everyone's gonna go, I gotta try this. And I do think that most people in Chicago are very open to anything. Like, we have been very like, I'll talk to people where it's like, I think this is the best pizza, but the pizza I eat the most is like Papa John's at 2 a.m. or Little Caesars, because it's right there. And
how do we feel about Little Caesars? What's everyone's thoughts on Little Caesars?
I love Little Caesars. I have the app.
I'm gonna
Italian cheese bread from Little Caesars. That's like shit. Like I don't
yeah,
know.
the crazy bread.
Yeah.
Ooh, I have a T-Mobile, so there's one T-Mobile Tuesdays. Like, you get a free pack of crazy bread and the sauce if you buy literally anything. And everyone in my family is on the T-Mobile plan. I'm like, guys, it's all of us. So, yeah, I think the sauce, I don't know what it is, but their sauce in the little dipping cup, it just tastes so good. I don't know what it is, but it just tastes so good to me.
I think they have to put straight sugar or crack or both in the sauce, because like
why not both?
It's something like.
I love crack, but I wish it was sweeter.
I wish it was sweeter.
It reminds me of tomato paste. And my great grandma used to like take like chips or something and dip tomato paste as a snack, and I do it too. So I think that's why.
Okay.
It reminds me of tomato paste, and I like tomato paste. Like, I'll just make it as like, instead of marinara, I'll use that.
Okay.
Instead.
I don't think I've ever heard you say tomato before, because now I'm like, what the hell is a tomato?
He's gonna bully me now.
Tomato. It's like that very like. Anyway, it's just, different dialects. I don't really care. I'm just like, I've never heard Lizzie say tomato before.
I don't think you've heard me say it so continuously.
Yeah.
I think that's probably why. Because we're never like talking about. Well, when we talk about food, we're never like. I don't think we've ever talked about it, because if we order pizza, we're like, oh, do you want marinara, or like how much marinara?
Yeah. We're thinking more of the use of the tomato, not the actual tomato itself.
We're thinking of the smash version of it.
Yeah.
A tomato.
Ass tomato, not future paste.
What about a potato?
A potato?
What is happening? What is happening, Lizzie? What the fuck is happening? Potato. That's how it's pronounced.
Now he's mad.
I need y'all to watch MasterChef, and I need you to pronounce everything like Gordon Ramsay.
Gordon Ramsay.
Selectable potato. 2 pieces of bread in your head. What are you?
Yeah, idiot sandwich. The idiot sandwich.
Can you believe Brian's trying to get me to code switch right now live on stream? I can't believe.
Why can't you be more like Gordon Ramsay? That's the code I want you to switch.
I'm coming up to you tomorrow with some bread and just doing that to you.
You better come up to me and say it's fucking raw.
Fucking raw.
It's
Absolutely
so raw I can
silly.
hear it still moving. That's Gordon
So
Ramsay.
I did want to ask though, because your last EP in 2018, Retro Future, it charted on Billboard, which I feel like is very, very rare for people in our scene. So how kind of was that?
We honestly been super blessed, like as a band, to always like. Contender didn't. That was like our first outing. I think it was like Heat Seekers or something. What Matters Most did, and then Retro Future did. We've just always had a supportive, like, awesome fan base. It's weird because FCC kind of hit that weird gap in time when Spotify wasn't there yet. Record sales were all but dead, but for some reason FCC could just always like sell records. Like we've always been a band that's like, oh, people want to support this, or like that was a time when if you wanted it, you'd have to buy it off iTunes, or like, you know, like I think that was when downloading shit was kind of like, or pirating was down for some reason. It was like, oh, I'll just get on iTunes or listen on Pandora. So it's I'm interested in when we do new music what happens, because this will be the first time since even with Retro Future was released in the Spotify era. We just weren't a Spotify band, you know. It wasn't one of those things. So it's interesting to see now that the field has completely shifted to that as like the, you know, pre-saving's a big thing now. I want to see what happens. I'm excited, but we've just been blessed with good fans.
And hopefully these fans are also stoked on this new vinyl that you have coming out.
Yeah, it's the artwork's gonna be like, I'm so excited. I'm excited.
We're announcing it here for all of you.
Yeah, we've been like accidentally announcing and leaking things the last few weeks. So just come here if you want to find hot goss before anyone else. Apparently,
we're gonna dig into some cool variants. It's been Contender. I don't think you can buy it on vinyl right now at retail. I think that both pressings sold out. So I think a 10-year revisit will be cool. It's a short ass record though. It's a straight up 24-minute record. So
nice.
Look, I love me some short songs. I love me some short records. I like to get in, get out, bangers only.
Yep.
Move on.
Bangers
move on
only,
to more
move
bangers.
on.
Bang, bang, bang. Go home. Get to bed by 10.
Yeah. Oh, if you can get me in bed by 10, whew. Yeah, that was the best show of all time.
Oh my god.
In bed by 10, I am comfy.
And you're still on Smart Punk, right? So this will be a Smart Punk release?
So we're currently unsigned, but we're going to be re-releasing with Smart Punk. We're kind of figuring out, like, I call our band like a softball band because it's just like a bunch of like dudes that like have other lives. They're like, well, we get to go play in a band instead of play softball on the weekends. So it's like just FCC, the ultimate softball band. So like it's cool because we all like want to do this, so that makes it a lot easier. And like we're just kind of paying for stuff out of pocket right now. We're talking to a couple different labels, but we understand like the importance of ownership now. You know what I mean? Now that we're all in our 30s, so it's like you got to make a good offer. Like you like if you're gonna own like in perpetuity things that we put out for you, like then like you know it's got to be sick. It's got to make sense for everybody. When we were younger, that was not the case. We were just like, please, anyone care?
Yeah, it's like, please, take me on.
Yes, please take advantage of me for the rest of my life, please.
Oh my God.
So do we have FCC baseball like jerseys now?
We should.
Softball jerseys.
That's a good idea.
You can give that one to Devin right in the chat, just waiting for it.
Yeah.
That's it, Devin. You did it. You
did it. Look at it. It's happening right now, maybe.
Okay, so I know we could talk for another like 3 more hours. So I took the night off. I'm kidding. No, but we want to make sure we have a bunch of people in chat, and we want to answer everybody's questions over there.
Okay.
So before we go do that, we'll wrap up the little pod recording here, and if anybody who missed it and isn't here, that's on you. And think about your choices, and maybe one of those choices. I'm gonna try to do Lizzie transitions. Maybe one of those choices you could make would be to join the Contender 10-year tour and go and hang out. So do you want to plug the tour one more time and just let everybody know where they can find you and any other information, how they can try your pizza, all that good stuff?
You're the man. Thank you for the setup. I'm going to try to softball this out of the park.
There we go.
So otherdesertcity.com. That's where you can get all the Contender details, all of the tour dates. We're going to probably be doing a couple different things through the website. It's also probably where pre-orders will launch. So otherdesertcity.com is our website. You can get us on social media at Hey It's FCC, just like Hey It's FCC. That's Twitter. Facebook's forever came calling, but who the fuck uses Facebook? My grandparents. That's about it.
Yeah.
Let me see what else. For the pizza, the good stuff, Cowabunga at Cowabunga HD on Instagram. That is the only place that you can remotely contact anything about pizza. But yeah, we're really stoked to be back. So tour dates, state champs show coming up on July 6th, and that'll be in Santa Cruz at the Catalyst, I believe it is. So that'll be a cool show. State champs, Somerset, us, and I'm gonna take 1 second because I am not gonna be a fucking dick and not shout out all the bands playing a show. I will take 1 second because I just started a live video.
I want to say thanks to all the other bands tonight.
Yeah.
Unspecifically because I don't want to fuck it up, but I also don't want to try.
I also don't want to try.
That was definitely
Giveaway band. They sound great. They are from that area. They've been nothing but awesome. They've been working their asses off for the show, so I'm excited to see them play and see what they do. That'll be really cool. And so that's about all I have left to plug, I think. Joe Candelaria for president. Never.
No.
Please stop trying to elect me.
I will say your handles, when it says, Hey, it's FCC, I get like an immediate pit in my stomach working in radio, and I'm like, uh-oh, it's the actual FCC, and I'm in trouble. They're about to fine me $30,000.
Not a cop. Not a cop.
FCC is not a cop.
FCC is not a... That's another shirt idea. You guys are just throwing them out.
There we go.
We always end up having merch idea.
We're going to tell everyone, like, guys, I know we leave for tour soon, but, like, we got to let everyone know we're not cops.
Honestly, just a bumper sticker that says FCC is not a cop. I feel like that would create more questions than anything.
Exactly.
But then the actual FCC is going to be like, no. We're cops.
Yeah,
They're going to be like, no, we're a different one.
You just have the Eminem line from Without Me where he says, the FCC won't let me be or let me be me, so let me see. I just shut me down on MTV, but it feels so empty without me.
Wow, Brian's spitting Eminem bars here. All right.
Palms are sweaty.
It is your culture,
weak.
bestie.
It is my culture.
Yeah.
I think that Lizzie has said a lot of mean things to me, just out of pocket mean things. That is maybe taking the top.
Straight up, it's your culture.
She said that knowing Eminem's Without Me is my culture, which is like, I'm saying it, so technically it is, but also like, oh my God. Oh my God.
Brian gets mad when I call him bestie though. So
yeah, I also get mad when you say this is what your white culture is. Like, what do you mean? I like pizza too. I can have other personality types. It's not just mom spaghetti.
It's not just mom spaghetti. Also, Eminem having mom spaghetti be a thing is wild.
I think it's still open in Detroit.
Really?
I think it's still open.
Oh, on the Detroit date, I'm eating mom spaghetti when I go to Detroit.
Yeah, just
No
tweet out,
pizza
be
in
like, guys,
Michigan.
is this still open and will it still be open on this date? Because I'm coming through.
I'm gonna make a mom spaghetti pizza. I'm just gonna take their spaghetti and put it on one of my doughs.
Oh my, or, ask how many pounds of spaghetti you can order and be like, don't worry about it.
Don't worry
Don't worry
about it.
about
Don't worry
it.
about it. I got an oven. I can heat it up.
I'm gonna just tweet at Eminem and be like, "Thanks for the sick collab. Glad we did it."
With Cowabunga, let's go.
Xavier in the chat just said it is, and he's catering the weekend's Detroit date.
All right, so the
So
weekend and Forever
Madness.
Came Calling's opening for him. That's crazy.
Oh my god.
Wow, look at that crossover.
Crossover.
Well, yeah, we are going to move over to Twitch and talk with all of our friends hanging out over there. But for the podcast listening audience, make sure you're following the FCC. Just, make sure that all the laws that they set out for content on the radio and television and any other American news. Follow Hey It's FCC on all of your favorite social medias of your type and persuasion. And the vinyl's coming out, the tour's happening, the shows are all coming to a town near you. So just put the oven in the car and get to stepping, get to the show. Ride your skateboard through the sewer and get some cowabunga on.
Ride your skateboard through the scooter. Hang out with your best friend that wears a hockey mask over his face.
Yeah, dude. Okay, that was like growing up before I even knew the Ninja Turtles and I saw Casey Jones. I was like, that's the coolest thing that will ever exist of all time.
Straight up, dude. Right? Like, I remember watching the first Ninja Turtles movie and being like, is Casey Jones the fucking man? Like, what is happening? Like, he just wears a hockey mask and beats ass. Like
That is it. That's the maximum level of coolness you can be is Casey Jones from Ninja Turtles.
he has a golf bag, bro, with you're just like, that is nonsensical. Like, that is like,
this dude just made this dude is first of all, by today's standards, unwell mentally and needs
definitely,
a lot of
really
assistance.
unwell.
Listen, back then they didn't believe in that, all right? They dealt with the best way they felt, and that's how they did it.
The dude in the hockey mask, that guy, he doesn't need help. He's a superhero.
He's a vigilante.
It's
It's fine.
My dude, are you okay?
My brother in Christ.
brother in
Casey and Christ.
Like Casey and Christ.
I'm gonna make this meme after this and send it to everyone.
Please don't.
I keep making these cursed memes, and it's on my
Please
own
don't.
accord.
Please stop.
Gotta keep going. Gotta keep.
See,
It's
gotta
for
keep
culture.
going, Ryan.
It's for the culture.
I say anytime I do something suspect, I just tell people it's for the culture. Like,
Yeah. And that
what are you
culture
doing?
is knowing all the words to Without Me by Eminem.
Oh no, not your culture, just the
Fuck.
culture.
Yeah, this is overall. Come on, Ryan, calm down. I know that is also your culture to be the center of attention, but
Damn.
Well, on that note, now thank you for joining the last episode of the podcast. We're gonna go and hang out over on Twitch. We got a few questions there with everybody. So before we sign off, Joe, thanks for being on the podcast tonight.
yeah, thanks, dude.
Thank you for having me. This is super fun. Thank you.